morning. Today is Tuesday, 30th January 2018. I'm Emily Brandon. These are this morning's top stories. Nationally, the Nevis Island Assembly resumes, but Honorable Joseph Parry says he was not invited. Internationally, millions have been vaccinated in Brazil after a yellow fever outbreak. And in sport, Jamaica will participate in the 2018 Winter Olympics. We also have the weather forecast and Carib update. We now have a look at the news in detail. The opening session of the Nevis Island Assembly got underway this morning at 10. Ahead of the sitting, Premier Mark Brantley inspected the Guard of Honor at the Hamilton House grounds. During the sitting, attended by the newly elected Mark Brantley-led Nevis Island government, members of the federal government and other dignitaries swore their oaths of allegiance, and the election of the president of the Nevis Island Assembly took place. The House was then suspended, allowing for the throne speech to be delivered by acting Deputy Governor General, Her Honor Marjorie Morton. With the Nevis Island Assembly now back in session, it opens the doors for the Mark Brantley NIA to present its 2018 budget. Notice of the absent this morning, meanwhile, was Honorable Joseph Parry. Mr. Parry, the Nevis Reformation Party's outgoing leader, was the only person on his party's slate in the December 18th, 2017 Nevis Island election to be elected to the Nevis Island Assembly. According to a message circulated this morning by a member of the party's public relations team, Mr. Parry did not receive an official invitation to today's sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly. And owners of beach bars along the Friars Beach on the south side on the peninsula have received notice that they are to vacate the area by the end of February. This applies to all the smaller establishments along the beach. Carambola, which also occupies a place along the beach, is under another arrangement and was not included. According to one proprietor, notice was given to establishments including Shipwreck, Sunset Discovery Bar, Godfathers and Olivia's by the owner of the property they occupy, that they are to move their business within 30 days of the notice, which was reportedly served on Saturday 27th. The owners have already indicated, while there is not much they can do to fight the request to move, the abrupt notice has not given them much time to find new locations for their businesses. It also means that for as long as they remain closed, scores of persons are going to find themselves out of employment. In 2017, one of the beach bar owners arrived at his business to find the establishment had been demolished by development control authorities, who said he had no permission to put up a structure on the beach. This then raised questions about the other establishments, some of which have been open for several years. They were all said to have had arrangements with a private landowner who granted them permission to conduct business on his property. It is well known that developers representing the Ritz-Carlton have expressed an interest in both North and South Friars. It is believed that the eviction of the bar owners may be the first move in ensuring that the land is available to the developers. And in international developments this morning in Brazil, more than 20 million people are being vaccinated against yellow fever after an outbreak of the disease. At least 15 people have died in the southeastern state of Minas Gerais in the last month, and a public health emergency has been declared. Teresa Bo reports.
This is the largest forest reserve in an urban area in the world. Mariporá, in the state of Sao Paulo, is where Aneleide Lopez's son, Anderson, died of yellow fever a few weeks ago.
My eldest son is devastated. They were together all the time. He is not even coming to our place because he's suffering a lot. He was planning to raise his kids. He left us here.
Anderson did not want to get vaccinated. Analeide says he started having headaches and then his complexion turned yellow. The doctors didn't know what the problem was until after he died. Brazil is fighting a yellow fever outbreak that has already claimed dozens of lives, at least 14 of them here in Mariporá. A massive campaign's now been launched to vaccinate people living in high-risk areas against what's considered to be the worst outbreak of the disease since the 1940s. Graciel Bertolini says yellow fever was for years endemic in only certain areas of Brazil, but things have changed.
A
few environmental studies noted impacts in forests where the mosquitoes' predators, such as frogs and dragonflies, were extinct. The mosquitoes then managed to migrate to this part of Brazil.
And it's not now just in remote areas, but also in Brazil's major cities.
This is the Sao Paulo Zoo, and it's been temporarily shut down because authorities found one dead monkey that's not from the zoo, but lived in the surrounding area infected with yellow fever. This means that the virus is already here, and that's why the government has stepped up efforts to vaccinate people living in the area.
Hundreds of other monkeys have already died across Brazil in the last year as the virus has spread. But in Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro, there are not enough vaccines for everyone. Eva Jean could not protect her family.
It was really busy when I arrived. People were queuing for 5 hours and they told us it was over, no more vaccines. I'll have to come next week.
In Mariporá, the other members of Anderson's family have been inoculated. Yellow fever has already left this family shattered. The government's priority is to prevent the virus from causing even more deaths.
Jamaica will have an Olympic skeleton slider for the first time after being awarded a place at the 2018 Games. Anthony Watson, born in the United States to a Jamaican father, initially tried out for USA before switching to skeleton in 2016. His world ranking of 79th was not high enough to qualify, but after several nations turned down places, Jamaica were granted a reallocated berth. It is believed that Austria, Switzerland, France, Luxembourg, they all declined places, while Russia were unable to fill their quota for the Games, which starts in Pyeongchang on February 9th. Watson has never raced in a World Cup event but finished 38th at last year's World Championship. Commenting on the news, Watson said it was an absolute honor to make history and added that he's excited to do his best for his country on the world's biggest stage. Watson's selection follows the announcement earlier this month that Jamaica had qualified a female Olympic bobsled team for the first time 30 years after the men made their Games debut at Calgary in 1988. And now we take a look at this morning's weather forecast. Over St. Kitts and Nevis today, we can expect fair to partly cloudy conditions with a low or 30% chance of showers. The weather tonight will be fair to partly cloudy with a slight or 20% chance of showers. Seas are rough with swells of heights at 2.1 to 3 meters or 7 to 10 feet. Warnings remain in effect for small craft operators and sea bathers. Winds are east-northeasterly at 10 to 17 miles per hour. The sea level pressure is 1,014.9 millibars or 29.97 inches. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:28 a.m. and set today at 6:05 p.m. Across the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, available low-level moisture and instability will generate some unsettled conditions today across the Windward Islands, Barbados, and Trinidad and Tobago. Conditions across the islands are expected to be partly cloudy to cloudy with a moderate chance of showers. A stable air mass moving into the area will generate drier conditions across Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Leeward Islands. Partly cloudy skies are expected to prevail with at most a low chance of showers. Additionally, hazardous sea conditions are expected to continue across the Eastern Caribbean for the next 24 hours. And that wraps up this morning's news presentation. We end with a look once again at today's top stories. Nationally, the Nevis Island Assembly resumes, but Honorable Joseph Parry says he was not invited. Internationally, millions have been vaccinated in Brazil after a yellow fever outbreak. And in sport, Jamaica will participate in the 2018 Winter Olympics. I'm Ebony Brandon. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us. Up next, Carib Update.